way you guys respond after a game like that? Have you typically found it to be to your liking? You guys are able to come back pretty quickly.
We got a character group, and we still have a lot of belief on our side of things. So no reason to think why we wouldn't. You know, we've got a great opportunity here. We knew right from the start that we're playing a real good hockey team. I mean, we saw what they did in round one. So I don't think that anyone inside of our locker room was kidding ourselves that we were just going to march through this series without facing some challenges. And the thing about challenges, what good teams do is they respond to them, and that's what I'm expecting from our group.
Have you already watched the video from last night, and what things would you like to change? Or
well, we just have to be more assertive in our game, and you know, that for me is, I think we have to impose our game and our will on them a lot more. I felt that we came out, we started well. When they scored the goal, we got on our heels and they pressed a little bit and we backed off. So we have to be more prepared for that in the game tomorrow. We know that they're going to press. I've said this before, they're going to punch us in the nose at some point tomorrow, and we're going to be ready to punch them back.
How much do you preach or want? Obviously, you want to score that first goal because in this series they've scored first every game. Yeah. So how do you, I guess, approach that? Well,
first off, I think what we've done and what we've done well is we've been ready for the start every game. I would say that we've been unlucky not to score the first goal in these games. I think that they've had, you know, a couple of things that have gone their way, but that said, it shouldn't be enough to beat us. We saw that in game two. You know, as long as we're prepared to deal with, you know, the fact that they might score, there might be a bad call, there might be something that goes, you know, the wrong way. As long as we're determined to come back and continue to play our game and impose our will, like I said earlier, and get assertive in our game and get after them, then we've seen that we can come back, and we've seen that we can push and create opportunities and turnovers and scoring chances. So we just have to make sure we're more consistent in that.
For those of us who try to explain that to people who may have never played hockey, or us who've never played, how do you exert your will on them?
Well, for me, it's a matter of what they're feeling, and to me, I would say for too much of the game last game, they weren't feeling the pressure. You know, whether it's our forecheck pressure, whether it's even our pressure in our defensive zone, I felt that we gave them way too much time and space. They should feel that. They should feel our physicality. They should know that we're coming in straight lines and we're going to arrive on the body and we're going to arrive hard. You know, it's one thing to execute. It's another thing, you know, to try to find an open man when you know someone's barreling down on you. So that's part of it. But more than anything else, it's just it's the speed, the pace, the execution of our game, and the mentality that we have of pushing to get to their zone and to get to their goalie.
Mike, in St. Louis, the Tarasenko line saw a lot of Yossi and Ellis, and last night they saw a lot of Subban and Ekholm. What is the different challenges that those two pairings, you know, present for a guy like him?
Well, you know what, it's going to be a good challenge regardless of which four of those defensemen they put out there. It's not unlike, you know, you look at our top four defensemen and sort of a pick your poison. It's going to be guys who can defend, guys who can skate, guys who can move the puck. But you know what, Vladdy is a guy who's dealt with all kinds of challenges and all kinds of matchups. So as long as he's on top of his game and we surround him the right way, then that'll be no issue.
Was the line change a bit of an effort to get him away from that matchup?
No, it was more in you know, as an attempt to spark things within our group and to try to get some life and try to you know, it worked. Obviously, we got the one goal, and I thought we pressed. And even, you know, as you know, if there's a real positive for us, we don't even feel like we are even close to our best game, yet we were a quarter of an inch away from tying it up in the third period. So, you know, again, we have a lot of respect for them. We know that they're a good team, but even still, that game was right there for us.
Mike, when you were talking about lineup changes for Game 4, and obviously you're not going to divulge what you do tomorrow night, were you talking about little intricate things, or maybe some sort of an overhaul, or
Sorry, I cannot divulge. Just like you said, you know what? It's you know, obviously we're not going to overhaul here. You know, like we've got a group that has got us here, and you know, we still have a lot of confidence. So there's no panic on our side. You know, we're excited about our opportunity tomorrow, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to try to tweak some things and try to find some ways to get a little bit stronger in our game and try to find some better combinations. So that's what we'll be looking for.
Barbashev's ice time's been down both the last couple games. Is he having a tough time responding?
You know what? It's, you know, no, I don't want to say that. He's doing fine. you know, obviously he gets a little bit lost in the shuffle not playing any special teams right now, so that's a consideration for us.
Is there traffic in front of the net? Has that been a major problem for you guys?
You know what? It's there's so many things that are so similar to last series. You know, they go hard to the net, and obviously, you know, we're excuse me, giving them reason to right now. They're scoring goals from it, but certainly I don't feel that they do anything any differently than Minnesota did. So we've got some big defensemen, and we got some physical defensemen. I think we can use that. Obviously, we have to stay out of the box, but I think that we have to make them pay a price, make it a little bit more difficult for them to get there. The other factor is I don't feel that we've done a good enough job up top with our wingers as far as taking away time and space and being physical on their defensemen. And so we have to make things a little bit more difficult on them, and if we do that, then we'll may have a better chance.
As a coach, is it fun to be working with Martin Brodeur, who was a legend as a goalie, but probably one of the most down to earth people?
Yeah, well, that for me is one of the best parts. Is like you said, you know what, you catch yourself sometimes just thinking like, wow, that's Marty Brodeur that I'm talking to, because he's such a humble, you know, person, and you know, you feel like when you're around him that he's just one of the guys, but at the same time, then you kind of look back and you say, well, he's probably the best goaltender of all time. So he's a great guy for us to have around, you know, especially in situations like this. You know, when you've got a guy who's won Stanley Cups like him and has been in situations in all situations and can help both Jake and all of us for that matter, it's a real advantage.
Mike, generally, what's your philosophy with matchups on the road? Because I guess it can actually take you off your game or get bogged down in trying to get matchups or whatever. Do you ignore them? Do you kind of try to mitigate that against affecting how you're running your bench, or how?
Well, certainly they have last change, so we can't, you know, we can't completely determine it, but obviously we're aware of it. And you know, for me, it's more a matter of you always look at your top guys first to see how they're doing and how they're what they're getting out of it. If we have to make a switch to make them, you know, maybe change their matchups or to see how they're going to react to it, then you do that. But obviously, the one thing you don't want to do is get to a point where you're chasing matchups so hard that you take guys out of the game. So what it comes down to most of the time is the guy that you're on the ice with, you have to beat, and that's what we need tomorrow.
So you generally don't, you know, pull guys off after a face-off or whatever.
No. You know what? What that does, and you don't see too many teams do that right now. And the reason is because what that does, it just gives them, you're putting guys on the ice in a bad spot. They're coming on the ice and they're going to go spend time in their own zone and really have no effectiveness to their game. So, you know, especially, you know, it's not like if we were playing against a team that was, you know, had one checking line and one D pairing that could check, they're not that afraid of those matchups where, you know, if they miss one, that they can't come back with their 1B matchup and feel comfortable. So no, we'd rather play the game. Obviously, if the matchups are there, we'll look for it, but you know, we're not going to put ourselves in bad spots in order to chase it.
Single out guys in these situations, but Perron and Berglund combined for 5 shots on net in the 2 games. Just how can you get more out of those guys?
Yeah, we need them. There's no question. I think that they can be a real huge factor in this series for us going forward. I think that they have more to their game as far as getting into the offensive zone, getting in on the forecheck, being physical, you know, making life miserable for their defensemen. I think we can do a better job of that. I think their line in particular can do a better job of that. You know, they're at their best when they're skating with speed through the neutral zone, but they're getting to the offensive zone, and they're like I said, they're doing what they need to create the turnovers to get the puck possession, and then when they get the puck, it's real tough to get it back.
Perron seemed to get involved in a couple of, I guess, skirmishes last night. As a coach, is that a sign that he's trying to get involved in some way, and that he's, you know, maybe fighting it a bit, but he's finding a way to, or?
Yeah, well, I think, you know what, I think that that for me that was a good sign. That was a sign where, you know what, I think coming into this series, one of my concerns was that we didn't really hate this team, and I think we've gotten to the point where we're over that now. And so for me, what that means is we come into the game tomorrow, and you know, now we'll be ready for the intensity that they're going to bring, and we'll be ready to match it.
You're running out of options on face-offs. The numbers keep not getting better.
Well, you know what? Interestingly enough, Game 2 was really good. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's what I said. Every game's a new game. We weren't ready, and we weren't up for it yesterday, and we have to be tomorrow.
He's got a 12:30, so this is the last one. Sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
Damn. better make this one special. Ryan Reeves looked like he moved him up last night, but, yes, not last night, afternoon, but.
Well, yeah, whether I moved him up or other people down, that's up for debate. No, I mean, we were trying to shake things up, and we were trying to find something that could get us going. So again, we were, like I said, we were a quarter of an inch away from tying the hockey game. Ideally we'd put lines together and keep them that way for the whole game. But whatever the game calls for, we'll be ready for.